My name is Damien Thompson. I'm the author of a memoir, And Then I Would Fly. It basically chronicles what started as an idyllic childhood as an only child, and then my parents got divorced, and my father basically fell off the rails and became very destructive and vengeful and dysfunctional. And I went from living in a very structured home to living in different places and being surrounded by violence and addiction and other very, destructive things. My dad actually ended up with an 18-year-old girlfriend and birthed my half-sister at that time as well. So everything kind of got upside down for me. But eventually I navigated through that, which is what the book chronicles, and became a father of my own, and am now on a journey to be a counselor and psychotherapist. Initially when I started writing the book, it was journals, basically to get the crazy out, to try to express myself and just make sense of my life. And after writing it for several years, I started it nearly 20 years ago, but after writing for several years, I realized that there was actually a book here that could help other people and get my story out. And so I decided to pursue publishing it. I think it'd be great to be a global bestseller, but the reality is that with a memoir like this, what really happens is that people buy it, and I end up with connections with people that I've never met, and they reach out and we have similar stories, and it's cathartic for me and it's cathartic for them. And again, going into the practice of psychotherapy, it's like it helps to just know that we can survive hard things, we can get through and we change as people. So it helps encapsulate that story. Generally it's more of a you went through heavy trauma and I did too. But I do think, there are folks that have reached out and said, like, maybe I should start a podcast or talk more in depth about the transition, because I don't cut out any of the raw parts in the book. I make it very genuine as far as this is what happened, this is who I was and am, and then how I transformed. And I think being able to talk about that in more depth, the actual transformation, making that real for people is helpful. And that's kind of the request I get, I suppose. You want to impart all these things in your children, and yet we're all individual people. So my son is a very strong, independent individual, but I think reading the book really gave him insight into the things that we had in common, but also being able to see into, his dad's head, how I thought about things, how I processed things, and being able to see me at a less authoritative place, which made us on more common ground. I think the process of writing the book, it made me being able to frame it so that I could see it, which is what I'd been trying to do my entire life, was take it out in front of me and try to figure out process what had happened. That was very cathartic. But then actually going through the process of publishing the book was a second catharsis of seeing what I was accomplishing and what I was capable of, knowing what I'd been through. It really helped put my life into a different perspective. It's gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. And to remember to go easy on myself and practice self-forgiveness, and that everything isn't as it always seems in the moment. Life is big, and often the moments of our lives can feel so tight and small and intense, but life is really big. And then I wouldn't have listened. What Mr. Rogers said, which is look for the helpers, right? Look for support, figure out what you can, where your support and the good in your life is, the good people in your life. And if you have access to therapy or you have access to those types of services, those resources, seek those out. Because again, life is a lot bigger than the little things that happen to us, or the big things that happen to us. The process of change, is gradual. And so I think I would just say that maybe a couple of things. One, as far as actually writing a book, one thing I really learned through this process was how important editing is, and that your first draft doesn't mean it's your final draft, and that it doesn't have to be perfect, that you can go back and rework that sucker 50 times until you get it to exactly what you want it to be. Your voice is important, right? You are There's nobody else exactly like you in the world, and getting out your individual voice and what you have to say is important, and it's important to you, right? It's important to your journey and your process. So by all means, find a way to express yourself. My book is available on Amazon. You can download it on Amazon. It's also out there on multiple other online book streams. It's at Barnes & Noble. I think you can find it at Walmart and Target online. But then also locally, I'm in the Bookworm here in Omaha. I'm in the Book Nook in Omaha, or in La Vista. Damien Thompson, author.com. I just am really humbled by this whole experience, and I really appreciate connecting with, the readers that I do. I appreciate people reaching out. I have a shirt that says "Tell me your story," and a lot of times I'll wear that to these events just because I really enjoy connecting with folks and being able to just hear, we have so much commonality, so much more in common than we often remember. It's good to be able to share that. So yeah, I'm just really grateful for that.